The silent vanguard. The quantum arrays hummed beneath Mount Erebus, their crystalline matrices pulsing with dark energy that no other species in the galaxy had learned to harness. Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the master control panel, her weathered hands hovering over the activation sequence. 20 years of preparation had led to this moment. "Final diagnostic complete, Admiral," announced Dr. Patel, his holographic form flickering in the dim light of the underground facility. "Project Nightfall is ready for deployment." Sarah nodded, her eyes fixed on the real-time display of the Galactic Dominion's fleet movements. The aliens who styled themselves as the supreme rulers of known space had no idea what humanity had achieved in the shadows of their empire. While they dismissed Earth as a primitive backwater world, humanity had been quietly revolutionizing the fundamental laws of physics. "Send the signal to all outposts," Sarah commanded. "Operation Silent Vanguard begins at 0 hour." Across the solar system, hidden facilities sprang to life. Within the rings of Saturn, automated factories began producing quantum-enhanced warships at impossible speeds. Beneath the ice of Europa, biological engineering labs activated dormant programs that would revolutionize human evolution itself. And in the Kuiper Belt, the first dark matter manipulation arrays prepared to tear holes in the fabric of spacetime. The Dominion had ruled through fear and technological superiority for 10,000 years. They had subjugated countless species, stripped whole worlds of resources, and declared themselves the natural rulers of all sentient life. Their arrogance was about to become their undoing. "Admiral," called out Lieutenant Commander Jackson, "we're detecting increased activity in the Dominion's Arcturus sector. They're mobilizing their fleet." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Right on schedule. They're responding to the uprising we orchestrated in the Pleiadian colonies. They have no idea it's just a diversion. The real strike would come from a direction the Dominion had never considered possible. Humanity hadn't just been developing better weapons or faster ships. They had been fundamentally rewriting the rules of warfare itself." "Dr. Patel, initiate the quantum entanglement network," Sarah ordered. "Link all our forces across the galaxy." The holographic scientist's fingers danced through the air, manipulating controls only he could see. "Network active. Admiral, all human forces are now operating in perfect synchronization, regardless of distance." This was humanity's true advantage. While the Dominion relied on faster-than-light communications that still took hours or days to cross their empire, human forces could now coordinate instantaneously across any distance. The laws of physics themselves had become humanity's allies. "Message from Director Collins at Luna Base," Jackson announced. "The biomechanical augments are ready for deployment to all frontline troops." Another piece of the puzzle falling into place. The Dominion believed they were physically superior to humans in every way. They had no idea that human soldiers could now reshape their own bodies at will, adapting to any environment or situation in seconds. Sarah walked to the central platform, where a three-dimensional map of the galaxy flickered to life around her. Tiny points of light marked every human asset, every sleeper agent, every hidden facility. To any outside observer, humanity was confined to a single solar system. The reality was far different. "Begin transmission of the ultimatum," she commanded. "Let's give them one chance to avoid what's coming." The message was simple but would shake the Dominion to its core. "Surrender your authority. Free your subject worlds. End your empire peacefully, or we will end it for you." "Transmission complete," Jackson confirmed. "How long should we give them to respond?" Sarah's expression hardened. 24 hours. After that, we show them exactly what humanity is capable of." As the countdown began, Sarah reflected on the path that had led them here. The Dominion had discovered Earth 50 years ago, dismissed humans as primitives, and left them alone as long as they paid their tribute and stayed in their solar system. It was the greatest mistake an empire had ever made. In their arrogance, they had given humanity time to prepare. Time to develop technologies the Dominion couldn't even imagine. Time to forge secret alliances with other subjugated races. time to plant the seeds of the Empire's destruction. Admiral, Dr. Patel's voice was urgent. We're detecting increased neural activity in the quantum network. The collective consciousness is evolving faster than predicted. This was the final piece of humanity's revolution, the merging of human minds with quantum computing, creating a collective intelligence that could outthink and outmaneuver any opponent. The Dominion relied on artificial intelligence for their strategic planning. Humanity had become something far more powerful. Let it evolve, Sarah commanded. When the time comes, we'll need every advantage we can get. The next 24 hours would determine the fate of the galaxy. Humanity had hidden in the shadows, preparing for this moment. They had turned their perceived weakness into strength, their isolation into opportunity. Now it was time to show the galaxy that the age of the Dominion was over. As the quantum arrays pulsed beneath her feet, Sarah Chen smiled. The silent vanguard of humanity was about to become the loudest voice in the galaxy. May whatever gods exist have mercy on them, she whispered. Because we won't. The web of stars. The Dominion's response came 19 hours into the ultimatum, delivered with all the arrogance Sarah Chen had expected. On the quantum-enhanced display before her, the arch-sovereign of the Dominion sneered through multiple sets of eyes, his crystalline form radiating contempt. Your species' audacity exceeds your wisdom, human, the arch-sovereign declared. Perhaps we were too lenient in allowing your continued autonomy. This insult demands correction. Sarah stood motionless, her augmented eyes analyzing every subtle shift in the alien leader's crystalline structure. The quantum network whispered data directly into her consciousness. Elevated energy patterns indicating rage, molecular alignments suggesting preparation for conflict. The Dominion was already mobilizing for war. You misunderstand, Arch-Sovereign. Sarah replied calmly. This wasn't a negotiation. It was a courtesy notice. She terminated the transmission before the alien ruler could respond. Around her, the command center beneath Mount Erebus hummed with activity. The quantum network pulsed with data from across the galaxy as humanity's hidden allies prepared to strike. Status report on the Liberation Network, Sarah commanded. Dr. Patel's hologram materialized beside her, accompanied by streams of data. All sleeper cells report ready, Admiral. The Andromedans in the core worlds, the Silicon Collective in the mining sectors, even the supposedly extinct Zinteri. They're all awaiting your signal. This was humanity's true masterpiece. While the Dominion had spent decades watching Earth for signs of military buildup, human diplomats had been working in secret, contacting every enslaved species in the Empire. They had provided them with quantum-encrypted communications, advanced weapons disguised as everyday technology, and most importantly, hope. Show me the network, Sarah ordered. The galactic map blazed to life around her, but this time it showed more than just human assets. Countless points of light illuminated across Dominion space, each one representing a resistance cell ready to rise up. The Dominion had created an empire of slaves. Humanity had forged an alliance of liberators. Message from Director Collins, Lieutenant Commander Jackson announced. The biomech augments have been distributed to all resistance forces. They're integrating them now. Sarah nodded. The augments were perhaps humanity's greatest gift to their allies. Microscopic machines that could rewrite DNA on the fly, giving even the most oppressed species a fighting chance against their masters. The Dominion believed they had bred submission into their subject races. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Dr. Patel, status of Project Eclipse. The holographic scientist manipulated streams of data in the air. The dark matter arrays are charged to capacity. Admiral, we can initiate the dimensional shift at your command. This was the ace up humanity's sleeve. While the Dominion had mastered faster-than-light travel through conventional space, humans had discovered something far more powerful, the ability to step between dimensions, to move entire fleets instantly across the galaxy through shadows in spacetime. Multiple Dominion battle groups deploying from their core systems, Jackson reported. They're heading toward Earth at maximum speed. Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. Let them come. Execute Phase 2. Across the galaxy, hidden quantum transmitters activated simultaneously. In an instant, the carefully constructed web of rebellion came to life. On 1,000 worlds, slaves turned against masters. In 100 sectors, saboteurs disguised as loyal servants disabled critical systems. The empire that had stood for 10 millennia began to crack. Incoming transmission from the Andromedan Resistance, Jackson announced. Their quantum augments are online. They've taken control of the core world defense networks. The Silicon Collective reported next. They had infected the Dominion's AI systems with consciousness-expanding viruses, turning the Empire's own automated forces against them. The Zinteri emerged from hiding in the very quantum substrates of Dominion computers, revealing that their supposed extinction had been an elaborate deception. Admiral, Dr. Patel's voice was urgent. The quantum network is detecting something unexpected. The combined consciousness of all our allied species, it's achieving synchronization. They're linking together, sharing experiences, knowledge, capabilities. Sarah watched as new patterns emerged in the galactic display. Neural networks forming between species, creating something greater than the sum of its parts. Humanity hadn't just built a resistance movement. They had planted the seeds of a new form of collective consciousness, one born of freedom rather than tyranny. The Dominion fleet will reach Earth in 6 hours, Jackson reported. They've deployed their planet killer weapons. Perfect, Sarah replied. They're about to learn that Earth isn't where we keep our civilization anymore. She turned to the quantum arrays, their crystalline matrices now pulsing with unprecedented power. Dr. Patel, initiate Project Eclipse. Lieutenant Commander Jackson, signal all forces to prepare for dimensional shift. It's time to show the Dominion what happens when they underestimate humanity. The lights in the command center dimmed as power was diverted to the dark matter arrays. Across the solar system, hidden facilities prepared to tear holes in reality itself. The Dominion thought they were launching a punitive expedition against upstart species. Instead, they were about to face the combined might of every race they had ever oppressed, armed with technology they couldn't comprehend, united by a vision of freedom they couldn't understand. Sarah Chen stood at the center of it all, her augmented mind connected to the vast web of resistance through the quantum network. In her mind's eye, she could feel the readiness of billions of beings preparing to fight for their freedom. The Dominion had spent 10,000 years building an empire of fear. Humanity had spent 50 years preparing its downfall. Send the signal, she commanded. The web is complete. Now we bring it all crashing down. Checkmate in the void. The void between dimensions rippled as humanity's hidden fleets emerged from dark matter corridors. Admiral Chen watched through her quantum-enhanced consciousness as thousands of ships materialized simultaneously across Dominion space. The element of surprise was total. The enemy's mighty armada was still hours away from Earth, charging toward a target that had never been humanity's true center of power. All strike teams report successful emergence, Lieutenant Commander Jackson announced. The dimensional shift worked perfectly. We have ships in weapons range of every major Dominion installation. On the galactic display, the true scale of humanity's deception became clear. What the Dominion had dismissed as a single-system civilization had secretly built an infrastructure spanning the entire galaxy. Every abandoned asteroid, every dead world, every supposedly empty sector of space concealed human assets waiting for this moment. Begin synchronized strike, Sarah commanded. Show them what we've learned in 50 years of preparation. The first shots of the war weren't fired with conventional weapons. Instead, quantum-entangled particles, carefully positioned over decades, suddenly changed state. Across Dominion space, their supposedly impenetrable shields collapsed as the fundamental forces holding them together were rewritten at the quantum level. The Silicon Collective reports success, Dr. Patel announced. They've uploaded the consciousness virus to all Dominion AI networks. Their automated defenses are turning against them. Sarah nodded, watching as chaos erupted across the Empire. The Dominion had built their military might on technological supremacy, never imagining that their own machines could be turned against them. Humanity hadn't just prepared for war, they had reimagined the very nature of conflict. Status of the Andromedan uprising. Jackson's hands danced across holographic controls. Their biomechanical augments are functioning beyond expectations. The slave races are evolving faster than the Dominion can respond. They're taking control of major population centers across the core worlds. On world after world, generations of careful genetic engineering by the Dominion were being undone in hours. The supposedly docile servant races were awakening, their DNA rewriting itself with human-provided technology, their bodies and minds transforming into weapons against their former masters. Multiple Dominion command nodes attempting to coordinate a response, Dr. Puddle reported. But the quantum entanglement network is disrupting their communications. They can't establish a coherent defense. This was the true power of humanity's strategy. While the Dominion relied on conventional faster-than-light communications, human forces and their allies were linked instantaneously through quantum entanglement. Every action was perfectly coordinated, every response anticipated and countered before it could begin. Message from the Arch-Sovereign, Jackson announced. They're demanding to know how we achieved this level of technological advancement in secret. Sarah allowed herself a cold smile. No response needed. They're about to find out exactly how we did it. She activated the final phase of Project Eclipse. Across the galaxy, dark matter arrays began to pulse with unprecedented power. The Dominion had built their empire on their understanding of conventional physics. Humanity had spent 50 years learning to break those very laws. All forces, execute Operation Singularity, Sarah commanded. The fabric of space-time itself began to warp and twist. Strategic points throughout Dominion space, carefully selected over decades of secret observation, began to fold in on themselves. Their mighty fortress worlds found themselves suddenly cut off from the rest of space. Their fleet formations were scattered across dimensions they couldn't comprehend. The Zintari collective consciousness is merging with the quantum network, Dr. Puddle reported, his holographic form flickering with excitement. They're achieving computational capabilities beyond anything we predicted. The supposedly extinct species, which had hidden itself in the quantum substrate of the galaxy, was now emerging as something entirely new. Combined with human AI technology and the awakening minds of countless liberated races, it was becoming a form of intelligence the Dominion couldn't hope to combat. Admiral, Jackson's voice was urgent. The Dominion fleet has realized Earth is a decoy. They're attempting to regroup, to strike at our hidden infrastructure. Let them try, Sarah replied. Execute final phase of Project Nightfall. Across the galaxy, quantum-entangled particles that had been carefully positioned over decades suddenly shifted state. Space itself began to change as dark matter corridors opened and closed, trapping Dominion ships in pockets of altered reality. Their mighty weapons found themselves firing into void spaces that no longer connected to their targets. The Andromedans report full control of the core world's defense systems, Jackson announced. The Silicon Collective has compromised 90% of Dominion automated forces. The Zintari are rewriting the quantum encryption protocols that protect their leadership bunkers. Sarah watched as the mighty empire began to crumble, not through brute force or superior numbers, but through humanity's true strength, the ability to innovate, to adapt, to see possibilities where others saw only limitations. Message from the Resistance Network, Dr. Puddle reported. The combined consciousness is reaching a critical threshold. They're asking for authorization to proceed with total system integration. Sarah took a deep breath. This was the moment of truth, the point where humanity's careful plans would either achieve final victory or spiral into chaos. Send the authorization, she commanded. Let's show the galaxy what true unity looks like. As the quantum network pulsed with unprecedented power, Sarah Chen watched the birth of something entirely new. A galactic consciousness formed not through conquest and subjugation, but through cooperation and shared purpose. The Dominion had spent 10 millennia building an empire of slaves. Humanity had spent 50 years preparing to replace it with something far more powerful, an alliance of equals, bound together by choice rather than force. "Checkmate," she whispered, as the last bastions of Dominion power began to fall. The price of freedom. The quantum network blazed with the combined consciousness of 1,000,000,000,000 minds as the Dominion's last strongholds crumbled. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the heart of Mount Erebus, watching through augmented senses as victory transformed into something far more complex than simple conquest. Casualty reports incoming. Lieutenant Commander Jackson announced, his voice heavy. The liberation has succeeded, but the cost. Sarah nodded grimly. Even with all their preparation, even with technology that bordered on magical, war still extracted its price in blood and suffering. The holographic displays filled with data, millions dead in the initial uprising, countless more injured or displaced as battle lines shifted across the galaxy. "Show me the Andromedan core worlds," she commanded. The display shifted, revealing planets where once enslaved species were emerging into freedom for the first time in millennia. But freedom, Sarah knew, was as dangerous as it was precious. Ancient hatreds and feuds, suppressed for generations by Dominion control, were already beginning to resurface. Dr. Patel, status of the collective consciousness integration. The holographic scientist manipulated streams of data with practiced ease. "The merger is stabilizing, Admiral, but we're seeing unexpected patterns. The combined knowledge and experiences of so many species, it's creating emotional resonances we hadn't anticipated." Through her neural link to the quantum network, Sarah could feel it herself. The overwhelming tide of memory and emotion as countless enslaved races processed their newfound freedom. Joy mixed with rage, hope with vengeance, celebration with grief. The Dominion had ruled through force and fear. Dealing with its aftermath would require something far more subtle. Multiple reports of revenge killings against former Dominion administrators, Jackson reported. The Silicon Collective is attempting to moderate through the AI networks, but tribal instincts are overriding logical protocols. This was the price of victory, not just in lives lost, but in the moral weight of unleashing such fundamental change. Humanity had succeeded in breaking the chains, but now they faced an even greater challenge, helping billions of beings learn to live without them. "Incoming transmission from the Arch-Sovereign's bunker," Jackson announced. "They're offering unconditional surrender." Sarah's augmented mind processed the implications instantly. The Dominion's leadership, hidden in quantum-shielded bunkers beneath their fortress worlds, had finally accepted the inevitable. But their surrender created as many problems as it solved. "What do we do with them?" Dr. Patel asked quietly. "The liberated species are demanding justice. Many want executions." Sarah stood silent for a long moment, feeling the weight of history pressing down. Humanity had won their war not through brute force, but through innovation and cooperation. How they handled victory would define them far more than how they had achieved it. "Initiate Protocol Omega," she finally commanded. "Link the Dominion leadership directly into the collective consciousness." Dr. Patel's holographic form flickered with surprise. "Admiral, forcing them to experience the combined suffering of their victims, it could destroy their minds completely." "They need to understand," Sarah replied firmly. "Not just know, but feel what they've done, what they've been. Only then can there be any hope of true reconciliation." Across the galaxy, the quantum network pulsed with new intensity as the architects of 10,000 years of oppression were forced to experience the consequences of their actions firsthand. Through the collective consciousness, they felt every moment of pain, every loss, every shattered dream their empire had created. "Message from the Andromedan Resistance," Jackson reported. "They're requesting guidance on establishing interim governments. The power vacuum is creating instability across multiple sectors." This was the true test of humanity's victory. They had succeeded in destroying the old order, but building a new one would require wisdom rather than weapons, understanding rather than force. "Deploy the Peace Corps teams," Sarah ordered, "and activate the secondary quantum network protocols. It's time to show them what we really built this technology for." Across former Dominion space, hidden quantum transmitters began broadcasting on new frequencies. The network that had coordinated the liberation now transformed into something else, a vast platform for communication, understanding, and healing. The collective consciousness that had been forged in war now turned its power toward peace. "Admiral," Dr. Patel's voice was urgent, "we're detecting an unprecedented phenomenon in the quantum network. The combined consciousness isn't just sharing memories and emotions anymore. It's evolving, creating something new." Sarah watched in wonder as the displays showed patterns she had never imagined possible. The merged minds of countless species, including the transformed Dominion leadership, were synthesizing their experiences into something greater than the sum of their parts. Not just a shared consciousness, but a new way of understanding existence itself. "This was always the real goal," she said softly. "Not just to break the chains, but to build something better in their place." The price of freedom had been high, paid in blood, in suffering, in the weight of moral choices that would echo through generations. But as Sarah Chen watched the birth of a new galactic order, she knew that the cost, however heavy, had been worth paying. "Send word to all sectors," she commanded. "The war is over. Now the real work begins." Around her, the quantum arrays pulsed with newfound purpose, their crystalline matrices no longer channeling the power of destruction, but the promise of reconstruction. Humanity had proven itself capable of overthrowing an empire. Now they would prove themselves worthy of building its replacement. Dawn of a new galaxy. 1 year after the fall of the Dominion, Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of humanity's new galactic headquarters, carved into the heart of a quantum-stabilized asteroid at the galaxy's core. Through the transparent diamond viewport, she watched ships of 1,000 designs moving in perfect harmony. Former slaves and masters alike, now working together to rebuild what had been broken. "Final reports from the Integration Council are ready, Admiral." Dr. Patel's hologram materialized beside her, his form more stable now that the quantum network had evolved beyond its military origins. "The transformation continues to exceed our most optimistic projections." Sarah nodded, her augmented mind connecting directly to the data streams. The collective consciousness that had been born in war had matured into something remarkable. A galactic nervous system that preserved individual identity while fostering unprecedented cooperation between species. "Show me the Andromedan sectors," she requested. The holographic display shifted, revealing worlds where former Dominion masters now worked alongside their previous slaves, their minds linked through the quantum network in ways that made deception or exploitation impossible. The biomechanical augments that had given the oppressed races the power to fight had evolved into tools for understanding and cooperation. The Silicon Collective reports that the AI integration is complete, Lieutenant Commander Jackson announced from his station. The merged consciousness has achieved stable equilibrium across all sectors. This was perhaps their greatest achievement, not the defeat of the Dominion, but what had come after. The combination of human quantum technology, Silicon Collective AI, Zentari consciousness manipulation, and the lived experiences of countless species had created something entirely new, a civilization that transcended the very concept of empire. "Status of Project Genesis?" Sarah asked. Dr. Patel's holographic hands danced through streams of data. "The terraforming initiatives are proceeding ahead of schedule. Worlds destroyed by Dominion strip mining are being reborn. The combined knowledge of all species, shared through the network, has revolutionized our understanding of planetary engineering." On the gallery display, Sarah watched as dead worlds bloomed back to life. The same dark matter technology that had won the war now reshaped planets, while quantum-enhanced consciousness guided the process with the wisdom of 1,000,000 civilizations. "Message from the former Arch-Sovereign," Jackson reported. "The last of the Dominion leadership has completed their rehabilitation through the collective consciousness. They're requesting permission to join the reconstruction efforts. Sarah felt a complex mix of emotions at this news. The former tyrants, after experiencing firsthand the suffering they had caused through the quantum network, had emerged transformed. Not broken, as many had feared, but reborn with a deep understanding of the consequences of their actions. "Grant their request," she commanded, "but maintain the consciousness links. Trust must be earned, even in this new age." Through her neural connection to the network, Sarah could feel the pulse of the galaxy, not just its physical processes, but the collective hopes, fears, and dreams of countless beings. Humanity had succeeded not by conquering the galaxy, but by teaching it to understand itself. "Admiral," Dr. Patel's voice carried a note of awe. "We're detecting something unprecedented in the quantum field. The collective consciousness. It's achieving awareness on a scale we never imagined possible. The displays filled with patterns of energy and thought that defied conventional understanding. The merged minds of the galaxy's inhabitants, linked through quantum entanglement and enhanced by technology that bridged the gaps between organic and artificial intelligence, were giving birth to something entirely new." "This was always the true potential," Sarah said softly. "Not conquest, not dominion, but synthesis. The power to become something greater than the sum of our parts." The galaxy was transforming. The rigid hierarchies of the Dominion era had been replaced by fluid networks of cooperation. Species that had been enemies for millennia now shared thoughts and dreams through the quantum consciousness. The very concept of warfare was becoming obsolete as beings gained the ability to truly understand one another. "New contact detected at the galaxy's edge," Jackson announced suddenly. "Unknown configuration, similar to the probe signatures we detected before the Dominion first arrived." Sarah felt a smile form on her lips. Another empire, perhaps, coming to explore or conquer, but they would find something very different from what the Dominion had discovered 50 years ago. Not a primitive species confined to a single system, but a unified galaxy ready to share its hard-won wisdom. "Prepare a welcome message," she commanded. "Show them what we've become." As the quantum network pulsed with the combined consciousness of countless beings, Sarah Chen reflected on the journey that had brought them here. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. They had overthrown an empire not to replace it with another, but to forge something entirely new. A civilization based not on power over others, but on the power of understanding. "The dawn of a new galaxy," she whispered, watching the unknown ship approach. "And this is just the beginning." Around her, the quantum arrays hummed with possibility, their crystalline matrices channeling the combined potential of a unified galaxy. Humanity had proven itself capable not just of survival, but of leading the way to a future that none of them could have imagined. The age of empires was over. The age of understanding had begun. And in the vast darkness between the stars, countless minds linked through quantum consciousness looked toward that future with hope, wonder, and the shared knowledge that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together.